I personally have nothing against Evan Siddal, but it looks like a lot of people are fairly upset with that letter that he sent out. I mean, a lot of people in the mortgage industry not very happy. I mean, I think it also had to do with him kind of I don't know what the term is. Uh, Saying that people in this industry are not don't have great reputations or bad character. Saying there's a underbelly, a dark underbelly of this industry is responsible for. I don't know exactly what he was getting at, but I mean, only he can really explain himself, and hopefully he will elaborate on what he meant with a lot of the parts of his letter, because it has caused quite a kerfuffle. That a word people use, a kerfuffle. Anyways, so let's take a look at the article. So a sharply worded letter sent by the head of Canada's National Housing Agency has upset many in the senior ranks of mortgage lenders whose business he is trying to win back. So they have increased the underwriting standards, essentially making it more difficult to qualify for a loan if you're putting less than 20% down on a home. All right, so because of that, there's less people being qualified for loans with for insurance with CMHC. That being said, they still have Genworth and Canada Guarantee. So those are two competitors of Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, usually just shortened to CMHC. Um, yeah, so I mean, right now they're in a weird kind of situation where they're condemning the industry on one hand and saying that they're handing out too much money to people, and then on the other hand, they're also saying, oh, but by the way, still send us clients, just not as many, and don't really send them to our competitors either. It doesn't make any sense. So, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation Chief Executive Officer CEO Evan Siddal fired a broadside this week after his decision to tighten criteria for mortgage insurance this summer led to a precipitous decline in the agency's market share. Market share. Listen to that, precipitous decline. Precipitous decline. Now, when you have a CEO of a company, if you are the CEO of a company and you make a decision that leads to a precipitous decline in your market share, I don't know how long you will be sticking around after that. I don't even know what you would do after that because this was a conscious decision that you made. I mean, they made this decision knowing full well that this would reduce their market share. Now, I understand why he did it, or he thought he was on a crusade to save the Canadian economy from itself, thinking that Canadians are over leveraged, and he thought that this would be one way of reducing the leverage that these Canadians have, especially if you don't have that 20% to put down. There are so many issues with the Canadian real estate market, but those issues really are only in a couple of areas, right? They're really only in a couple of areas. One of them being Toronto, the GTA, the other being in um, the greater Vancouver area as well, right? So these are, there's some really hot markets, and they're out of whack when it comes to income to the cost of the home, the cost of carrying the home. And it kind of skews the rest of the Canadian housing market. But I mean, he's trying to come up with one blanket solution. That's just not how is that really the best way forward to make a blanket solution affect everybody and then also attack the industry that he's supposed to be working with, that supports him, supports the Crown Corporation that he works with or works for, or I guess used to work for. I know he's they're in the process of transitioning. So his letter dated August 10th chastises a long list of prominent mortgage lenders for helping heavily indebted borrowers buy homes. Terrible, which he argues could harm economic growth. But it also is a plea. It is also a plea to banks, credit unions, and alternative mortgage lenders to return some business to CMHC that they have diverted to private mortgage insurers that chose not to match the Crown Corporation's tougher standards. Like, what do you, what do you want? Like this, like do you? I don't understand. Like, does he not understand that this is how, I guess, to a degree, capitalism works, right? I mean, it's not, we don't have to, the lenders don't have to direct their business to anyone in particular. You direct your business to who provides you with a great service and provides you and matches what it is you need, right? They provide a solution um, to the issues that you're facing. CMHC, based on what Evan Siddal has decided to not provide those solutions to the market. So these lenders are going elsewhere. I don't see, well, how can you then turn around and then plead after chastising them, plead for them to come back and use your service? That is just, I mean, there is such a lack of awareness. Uh, there's just such a lack of awareness when it comes to what's going on here. So let's continue. The pointed arguments and the blunt tone of the letter, which asks mortgage lenders to put our country's long-term outlook ahead of short-term profitability, and cites a dark economic underbelly to this business, arrived without warning. Far from having its intended effect, it left some senior bankers puzzled and others bristling, according to multiple sources familiar with the response within the financial sector. I mean, come on, dark economic underbelly to this business. Who are you referring to? I mean, if you want to name names, right, be more specific, right? Who are you referring to? I mean, if you have a particular sector, are you talking about mortgage brokers? You talking about a segment of mortgage brokers that are putting people at risk by committing fraud? I mean, if like you could just say that specifically. Say that there's a large segment of people committing fraud that can lead to dire consequences long term for the economy, which I can completely agree with. But you don't address that issue in a letter like this to these men, because what are you expecting them to do about that? I don't know what they can do to address that issue, right? Like, to say that, are you kind of lumping them in and say they're participating in this dark economic underbelly? Why even bring it up in this letter? It just seems really tone deaf. And anyway, so just continuing. So the Globe and Mail is not identifying a source because the companies are not responding publicly to the letter. Yeah, good. They have some sense. Many of those companies do not intend to respond at all, the sources said. The letter was first reported by Bloomberg News, prompting Mrs. Sell to release it publicly. Oh, um, I mean, anyways, there's just been a contentious relationship with him, from the, I know, the mortgage broker community, just because of like he seems to be anti buying houses. And I understand from his perspective. He thinks that it's not good long term from the economy. He has a rationale for his statements. Whether or not you agree with him, that's one thing. But he has a rationale. He has a reasoned he's reasoned it, right? He's thought about it. It's not just some random thing, but it's just a random thought. But the issue is CMHC is designed to maximize home ownership. I think I mentioned that before. That's one of the mandates of the organization, is to help Canadians buy their homes, right? To own their homes. So when you have the person that's leading that ship chastising the industry that helps people buy homes, and he's chastising them for helping them buy their homes. What exactly is the ship that you're steering, right? It's a little baffling. That's not to say that he's not entitled to his opinion. That's not even to say that he's wrong. But it just doesn't make sense to have that opinion and also maintain that seat at the same time. Now, I do know he is there. I have heard that the CMHC is looking for a um, new company, or sorry, new CEO, right? And so that might be one of the things. Maybe there was a clash in terms of beliefs. It just didn't line up, and I completely get that. And maybe he's just kind of staying in there as as a transition, as they're looking for someone as they transition him out, and he's just remaining vocal, which I guess that's his right to be vocal on a topic he obviously believes in, and definitely don't want to chastise him for that. He has a belief, and yeah, it's just a little odd. But anyway, so Mr. Saul said in his letter that CMHC chose to tighten its standards because of the economic systemic concerns that excessive debt levels reduce consumer spending and dampen economic growth. He has been a vocal defender of mortgage stress tests designed to curb risky lending and has made gloomy predictions of falling housing prices in Canada since the onset of coronavirus pandemic. I don't even know why. How can you? Why even make the? Why make any of these predictions? I mean, have concerns for sure, but it's so impossible to make predictions. And nobody has been able to predict what's going on. Anybody that says they can predict it is a liar. No, I mean everybody thought it was going to go down, go up, sideways, whatever. It does what it does, and it just proves people wrong. The new rules made it harder for some borrowers to get CMHC mortgage insurance and disqualified as much as 30% of the agency's usual applicant pool. 30%. Imagine losing close to a third of your customers, deciding to cut off a third of your customers. That's crazy. I mean, those people, that's a lot of people. They're not going to just not qualify. They're going to go to another insurer, right? They'll just go somewhere else. What were they thinking? So it's two competitors, a private mortgage insurers, Genworth MI Canada and or Mortgage Insurance Canada and Canada Guarantee Mortgage Insurance Company did not alter their underwriting standards, which have been virtually identical. While CMHC appeared content to forego some business that it considered a higher risk from borrowers with credit scores below 680 or high debt service ratios, for example, the agency has also lost a meaningful share of business from home buyers that it deems safer bets. Private insurers taking on more borrowers who don't meet CMHC's new standards have, in turn, also asked lenders for a greater share of their other business to balance out risks. Fair enough. As business, I don't understand. What is the concern? These people were going to get their mortgages done elsewhere, or their mortgages insured elsewhere. You Now that gives the mortgage insurance company an opportunity to build a closer relationship with the brokers and the lenders. So what's the issue? That's how business works. Now they get an opportunity to increase market share. Now, if there has been no changes to policies that would restrict them from doing that, what's the issue? I mean, I think Evan's concerns are not with the market, it's with policy, because unless there's policy changes, I don't understand why a company shouldn't be able to assess their own risk, right? If it's deemed that they are incapable of doing this, and there's gonna somebody's gonna come down from Parliament saying that, well, the new changes have to happen in order for us to remain economically viable long term, then by all means, that's how the country works, right? But I mean, for the head of the CMHC to complain about it in this way is just so bizarre. So to varying degrees, lenders have agreed with the insurer's requests. Some have shifted a meaningful share of their insured mortgages to private insurers, multiple sources said. Mr. Siddal said in his letter CMHC is concerned about the trend. I said go ahead and redirect the business we have avoided, but don't give the private insurers more than that. How could you say that? His letter also warned lenders that CMHC is approaching a level of minimum market share that we require to be able to protect the mortgage market in times of crisis. We require your support to prevent further erosion of our market presence. I honestly don't know what he wants. Like, if this company is supposed to be treated like a private company, um, in a sense, then you have to deal with the market forces. I don't like you made a decision, a market decision, and now you're paying for it. And I don't know if begging works. I don't know if begging works, like to get people to come back to you. Like what would be the consequence? I don't know. So before announcing stricter standards, CMAC held a conference call to brief mortgage lenders and Federal Department of Finance officials. The plan was greeted as unorthodox because it restricted access to mortgages at a moment when governments were pumping tens of billions of dollars into stimulus programs designed to keep credit flowing amid a global public health crisis. CMHC consulted with the Department of Finance as we normally would in matters of housing finance, Mr. Ketling said. And advising to the department is kept but the advice to the department is kept confidential. The CMHC, as a crown corporation, has legislative authority to make policy decisions as it sees fit, as to prevent erosion of the market. This specific business decision was made independently from the finance department. Said I do apologize. Said Maeva Proto, if I mispronounce your name. So, Press Secretary to Finance Minister Bill Morneau, adding that officials will continue to monitor the situation and respond as necessary. Dan Eisner, CEO of Calgary-based mortgage brokerage True North Mortgage, said both Genworth Mortgage Insurance and Canada Guarantee promptly contacted him after CMHC announced its new criteria and urged him to send us a complete package of deals. And not only those that CMHC would no longer approve. He likened the rationale to other types of insurers that take on both riskier and more stable clients. They don't want all the drunk drivers for car insurance, he said. Makes sense. Canada Guarantee takes a measured approach to growing our market share and has a dynamic underwriting and risk management framework, CEO Andy Charles said. A Genworth Mortgage Insurance spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment. Mr. Eisner said it's entirely predictable that CMHC would lose more. It really is. I mean, come on, Mr. Mr. Now Mr. Siddal is trying to use moral suasion to pressure lenders and private insurers to follow his lead. Mr. Eisner said. Evan went out on a limb with his thing, and nobody followed. Oh man. Anyways, I'm bringing this video to an end. I'm sure the comments are hilarious, but I'm bringing this video to an end. I just think it's interesting. I personally, I think it's interesting. Like, if anybody in an actual business operated this way, we would, we would lose our business. That's it. We lose 30% of our clients overnight, and then just due to one decision, and then additional clients from there. Yeah, no, we'd lose our business. But they don't have those pressures to worry about, right? It's a crown corporation. So, anyways, I'm gonna end that video here, and yeah, like and subscribe if you'd like to, I guess, and leave a comment. I'm always curious what people are thinking about these things. So, yeah, have a great rest of your day.